الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. نعم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. How you been? SubhanAllah. I've had a breath of fresh air. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Sister ذاكرة. إخوة. I'm give some general specific advice. If you want to be in the States, you have to be in a community. Right? Because as the Prophet ﷺ taught us that Shaitan will attack, like the wolf attacks the stray sheep, Shaitan attacks the Muslimness off to them. And in Surah Al-An'am and Surah Al-Kahf and other surahs, Allah Ta'ala said to be patient with those who call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it'd be better for you to be with the Muslims and deal with their harm than to be alone, thinking that you're protecting yourself from harm. Because you'll be in more danger being in alone than being in the known danger of the fitna of being around the Muslims. Wallahi. I met two scholars this week from West Africa. It's Sheikh, I want to say it in the correct language first because it's translated or as Ghawth in Arabic, but it's Sheikh Kassau Sila from the Gambia. MashaAllah. And also met Sheikh Hajj Jalo. SubhanAllah. And they have been here fighting in the way of Allah. They're in Madison, Wisconsin. There's another sheikh, and I forget the sheikh's name. If you hear this, I apologize to him, from Mauritania. And especially the two sheikhs that I mentioned, they are fighting, and they have established a community in Madison, Wisconsin, in which you see the Muslims flourishing. For Fajr, you're talking about anywhere between 30 to 60 people for Fajr. That's Fajr. For the classes, and we're talking about kids, everything, everybody's there. You know, they have both, one is on the east side and the other one is on the west side. And everybody's doing their work singularly and together, working together. And they have a flourishing community going into the Sunnah. And mashallah, both of them are, men of knowledge. And they have a special situation. They are in leadership of their communities as imams, and their community trusts them. So based on that, and they share with me some things. It's not like there's never any rift, but they have made, and this is what everybody has to do everywhere. They have made the final decision what the Quran and Sunnah points to. Not anybody's emotions, not anybody's opinions, not anybody's culture. And I'm pretty sure some brothers here know that could be difficult when everybody is from one culture, because they're all from West Africa. But no, if it's not in the book and the Sunnah, that it's not. It's not moving. This is how they're doing it down there. They have a school from kindergarten to the 8th grade. They have a weekend school. And, it's just flourishing. The sisters are active. The brothers are active. The people are down there learning. But it took for them to work together and to make the final decision, call Allah wa call Rasul. Once they worked through emotions and opinions and culture and all of that, and they made that the final decision, that's where their success is. And it's just like Imam Malik said. He said the affairs of the last part of this ummah will not be rectified except through that which rectified the first part of this ummah. So all of the progressive modernists is not going to work. It's not going to work. The Muslims that were there before the two sheikhs came, they were trying the progressive modern, and they had no fruits. Then when those imams took over, they see the fruits now. Anything happens in Wisconsin in general, and Madison specifically, they're calling Sheikh Haji Jalo. They don't even have a press release about anything concerning the Muslims. Is they say, okay, this happens and was a Muslim involved. Is this from Islam and like that? And the Sheikh gets to clarify anything before the Muslims are slandered. And both of those Sheikh, they are graduates from Muhammad bin Saud University in Saudi. And of course, they went to Madrasa when they were back home. And they have successful communities. And this is what it is. It is what it is. If we want the success in the religion of Islam, it will only be successful based on the Sunnah of the Prophet. So I recommend, brothers, if you're ever in Wisconsin, visit and just ask for Sheikh Haji Jalo or Sheikh Kaso. No, I'm saying it. Sheikh Ghauf Sila, and then they will direct you to what's going on there in that community. Inshallah. It's worth a visit. No, but it's important because they have things established. They have a running machine. A running machine. Nah, nah. It took sacrifice. It took sacrifice and took trust. It took trust. Nah. So we're back on our tafsir. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah. And we're talking about magic. And we talked about the magic in words. We talked about magic in the look. And we talked about when the look and the words come together. Then we talked about magic in the look and in the words and when music is added to that. So there are many, many types of magic. We're not going to go through all of them, but we know that magic is real and it's dangerous. And to practice it is disbelief. And the consensus is that the one who is a magician in under a Muslim country, under a Muslim ruler, that even if he repents, he's executed. That's the Sharia. Even if he repents, he's executed. Why? Because he can't forget it. It's stuck. This is a haram knowledge, and you're not supposed to seek it because it will be a fitna. It will be a fitna. We talked about that before, about information that's a fitna. That if you have information that's a fitna for people, don't announce it. Don't tell people about this information if it's a fitna. We said, for example, if somebody knows, let's say there's a house of prostitution or drugs. And we know that some Muslims that are weak that do those things. So then it shouldn't be announced. You know that house down there on the corner? You know that there's prostitutes in there? Why? What's the benefit? That information is a fitna. Oh, you know that people have drug habits. People are having drug habits in Islam, especially here in the United States where people are being pushed onto drugs, right? Especially with this new mental illness push. People are being pushed onto drugs through mental illness. Then they get addicted. Then they don't have health insurance. Then they can't afford the over-the-counter narcotic. So what do the results of? Street narcotic. Same thing. Heroin, morphine. He said that morphine is what? Legalized heroin. Legalized heroin. That's all it is. So what they look for it. If they can't afford, this is how many established people, good people, successful people plummeted in their lives through medicine, got in a car accident. You know how many people I had to talk to who they never were thugs or into drugs or what they call them, recreational. They call it recreational drugs. They were never into that. Got in an accident from the excruciating pain. The doctor put them on painkillers. They got addicted to the painkiller. Did they give them nerve surgery or something to correct the nerve? Because this is the issue. The issue is the nerve. They're not worrying about that. They're worrying about treating the what? The symptoms, not the actual problem. So they got, instead of giving them something to help their nerves, they gave them painkillers, which is a drug. Why? Because they'll keep coming back and filling those prescriptions that have the, so they keep giving the painkillers, keep it, and they become addicted to the painkillers. And then if they don't have the health insurance and it doesn't keep up and they don't have the finances to pay for that, then they can't afford the painkillers. But the pain is not gone. Pain is not gone. And what happens when the pain is not gone? I have to find something to take it away. And if I can't afford a prescription, then I'm going to get a street prescription. And that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Wallah al-musta'an. So yeah. So, mashallah, la quwwata illa billah. Now, and I heard there's another community where there's a sheikh also from West Africa. I think he's from Ghana. From Ghana in I've never visited yet, but I hear a lot of good stories. A lot of Muslims from the East Coast migrated there, and even from down south migrated there. It's in something Mountain, Georgia. Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain, Georgia. Another community, flourishing. Flourishing. Yep. But they have an imam that they listen to based on the evidence he presents from the book and the sunnah. I'm not taking shots. I'm stating reality. This is the same complaint that Ali radiallahu anhu said. What did he say? When the Khawarij, who were said that Ali was a kafir, they said that Uthman was a kafir, they said Muawiyah was a kafir. And then they had an audacity to complain to Ali about the fitna and the trials. Said, why is it when Abu Bakr and Umar, they were the Khalifa, that everything was good and the Muslims were together and that was not like this? And Ali simply answered to them, because Abu Bakr and Umar were leaders of people like me, but I'm a leader of people like you. He let them know, I didn't treat my leadership the way you guys treat me. I didn't come out and say, Abu Bakr's a kafir. You guys came out and said, I'm a kafir. This is what they said to Ali. They went to somebody, the husband of Fatima, the cousin of the Messenger of Allah, the first child to embrace Islam. Youngest person to come into Islam. Right? They come to him, the fourth of the 10 who were promised Jannah during the life of the Prophet, giving glad tidings of Jannah. And they told him, based on their interpretation of what's in the Quran, he's a kafir. This lets you know what desires can do to an individual. Their own interpretation of the Quran without any scholar led them to killing Uthman while he was fasting in the holy precincts in front of his wife and children. This is how deeply self-convinced people can be without knowledge. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Inshallah. So we talked about that type of magic. So then you have the other type of magic that Allah spoke about in Surah, who knows? Short surah. We all know it. Close. Close. Naam, Surah Al-Falaq. This type of magic is the magic of tying knots. Okay, so Allah mentioned it in brief there. So what these magicians do, they write some words in an unknown language. You know, we've had to deal with this a lot in Egypt. There's a lot of magic in Egypt, a lot of magic in Morocco. So they'll write words that the shayateen whisper to them about the one that they want to put the magic on. And normally they have to put something from the Quran in it, and also something filthy like urine or feces on where the Quran is. My father-in-law, rahimahullah ta'ala, Muhammad Sati, rahimahullah ta'ala, who was an electrical engineer from Sudan, he dealt with people like this a lot. One time, even he was on his way home. He had a brown bag with sandwiches in the bag wrapped in newspaper. He went to a masjid to pray. So a man approached him. The man was smelling really awful. And the man approached him and said, give me, give me some of that. And he named everything that was inside of the bag. He said, I either want that sandwich or the sandwich like that. He told him everything they had in his bag. So my father-in-law, rahimahullah ta'ala, was not a coward. So he grabbed the man and he said, "What are you doing in here?" And he took him to the caretakers of the masjid, which were scholars from Azhar, and he told them what happened with him. So they closed the door and they told him, "Strip, remove your clothes." So the man said, "What? What? I just asked him for something to eat. I'm not doing anything." They said, "Remove your clothes." So he refused. So they held him and they removed and took his pants down. When they took this man's pants down, he had a string tied around his penis that was connected to a small, looked like a gathering of paper that was right under his penis, that he would drip urine onto this. When they took it and opened it, it was a small Quran. So the, the demons of the jinn, they will not aid a person in his sihr until he does something against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It could be sacrilege like destroying the Quran, urinating in the masjid, urinating on the Quran, murder, rape, sodomy, anything. They want you to do something, and then they say, if you do this, then we'll give you, you can have the world. So this is why it takes kufr, because now you have to believe in that shaitan has power over granting and restricting. So then this is what this man was doing in order for the jinn to go into people's things and then inform him what was inside of their bags. The jinn couldn't give it to him. All the jinn was doing is telling him what was in people's bags. And he did this thing. When this magic is tied, they normally need something that belongs to the person they want to put magic on. Hair. Don't think this is one of the types of magic that they're using off of this, or just in order to explain this. One of the biggest types of magic that they're using in order for people not to beware of magic and not to protect themselves from magic is turning magic into entertainment. One of the ways that they're doing in order for people to not be on guard against shaitan is to put him in comedy, to turn shaitan into entertainment. Because if they turn something very serious into entertainment, something evil into entertainment, then people begin to laugh at something that can actually harm them. It was a buildup. I don't know how long some of the brothers have been here, and I don't know how old brothers that were born here are, but Sheikh Jamil, I know you probably know. The issue of gay and lesbian and all of that was a taboo in America. Filthy. They used to have people would beat homosexuals up and beat, if they found out somebody was gay, they would beat them up in school, in the locker room, they would beat them up, they found out they were gay. Bad taboo. Slowly but surely, starting from the mid to late 70s, they began putting it in comedy. They began putting it in entertainment. They began introducing it in a way that made the people laugh at it. And when and once the people found that it was something to laugh at, they stopped protecting themselves and their family from it. So the same thing they did with that, they did it with magic. David, I know when I was growing up, it was David Copperfield, right? I forget all of their names, but they had so many magicians that they introduced to the world as entertainers. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. They had so many magicians that they introduced to the world as entertainers to the point that the people either one, stopped believing in magic, or either two, thought magic was a joke. Now they have another magic that they're using through technology that now they are calling jinn possession, magic, the ayn, hasad, they're calling it mental illness. So calling it mental illness is not the issue. Not mentioning what caused it is the issue. Because the devils can drive people to madness. Allah said that الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ الرِّبَا. And he talked about the people who deal with riba and interest. لَا يَقُومُونَ يعني يوم القيامة. That they will not stand, meaning on the day of judgment. إِلَّا كَالَّذِي يَتَخَبَّطُهُ شَيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ. Except as the one stands that has been driven to madness, beat by the shaitan from the shaitan touching him. This is how. So when you see those people there walking down the street, you see them to the side like that. And people say, automatically say, hey, he's crazy. And you see the signs that he smells like urine or feces. Anybody ever ran into people like this? Have you ran into people like this? They're smelling like urine and feces. They're jumping around. You would think like they were being hit. People think that's from madness. That is from possession. This is from the types of magic. Types of magic. It was one guy on 52nd Street in Philadelphia. And he would walk around, jumping around like that. But if you stop him and called his name, he would stop and talk. He could have a logical conversation for maybe 15 minutes and then would go back into his insanity and jump around again. So then a brother, Samir, I believe it was a brother, Samir, who got his information from him, what happened, that he was a mathematician, a mathematical genius. Even when he was in that state, we would give him weird mathematical equations. How much is 2,634 times 1 million? And he would say the answer. We would go into the calculator and he would be right. And someone had hasad for him. And that's what drove him mad. I had a friend named Marlo in elementary school. And the same thing happened to him. One day I was driving a cab and I stopped at Crown Fried Chicken. And I saw Marlo. I said, Marlo, how you been? How you been? And he was looking around like that. He didn't recognize me. And he was picking up cigarette butts off the ground from the cracks of the sidewalk. I said, Marlo, what happened to you? They messed me up, man. They messed me up, man. Somebody did magic on him. So magic is real. It's real. Allah Ta'ala warns us about it in the Quran. So the type of magic that these people do, and most popular types of sarf wal atif. Sarf to change, atif to bring. So they need something that belongs to you. So it's not superstition per se to get rid of your hair, your fingernails, your beard pieces that's falling out when you're combing your beard, and make sure to just get rid of it. Flesh it, burn it, whatever, get rid of it. But make sure it doesn't get in the hands of someone that doesn't like you or could hurt you or envies you. This is real. Your garments. Watch who gets a hold of your garments. It's all real. All real. I knew a brother, and all I would say from Jersey, New Jersey, who had a very, very disloyal, disobedient wife. Right? Two sisters. One of them was very disloyal and disobedient. But no matter what she did, he couldn't leave. Saw him leave her twice. Saw him leave her twice. But he told me before that he left her before. And he would leave and go to this other land where his other wife was. He would leave that land where she was and go. As soon as he gets there, he said the longest he's ever stayed with his other wife, who was obedient and righteous, for 30 days. A month was the longest he could stay. And then all of a sudden he would get this repulsive feeling towards the obedient one and go back to the disloyal, disobedient. Magic. So it's very dangerous. If somebody can get a hold of your things, the Prophet ﷺ had magic put on him. His hair was used and his comb. And the Jew woman who did this, after she did the magic on it, she hid it inside of a well. They need to hide it. And if a person was to find something that is wrapped up in a strange way, وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, and the evil of those women who blow. And this is another issue, that the origin of the practice of magic was done by women. This is why you find in Surah Al-Falaq, it's in feminine form. So when a man does it, he's doing an act of kufr, disbelief, and he's imitating the women at the same time, because it's not something that men did. Men, even the most evil of men, when they want to take something, they take it by force. Men believe they have power and strength. But those who are weak, they have to sneak. They have to do it in a sly way. They can't be bold. Women, they can't just tell you, you know what, you're going to be with me and just me. She knows that's not going to work, right? So either she's going to, through her good akhlaq and righteous actions, she's going to make you fall in love, and that's halal magic, of course, that she's just by being a good, righteous woman. That's or she's going to be duped. And many Muslims in Maghrib and in Misr, in Morocco and in Egypt, and other places believe that magic to make someone fall in love is halal because it doesn't harm anyone. They believe this. All magic is haram. Even if you're trying to get someone to do a good thing, it's haram. Because in it is belief in other than Allah Ta'ala. We say we're making a dua to Allah, Ya muqallib al-qulub. Oh, change of the hearts. You're depending on other than Allah to change the heart, so you have made that person muqallib al-qulub. Or that thing, that jinn or that person is the change of the hearts instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they take this and they write these phrases in a weird language that the shayateen whisper to them. And then after that, they take a piece of something that belongs to that with some filth, and then they fold it up, many folds. And alhamdulillah, I don't know it, but it's a specific technique that they are whispered to the shayateen whisper to them. And then after that, they tie it and tie it and tie it. Then they may appoint a jinn, another jinn, to protect it and enforce it. So that if the person were to open it without the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that jinn would possess the person trying to destroy the magic. So the number one, it has to be open. And it has to be open while reciting the Quran. Surah Al-Falaq was sent down for magic. Surah Al-Nas was sent down for magic. Ayatul Kursi, Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Ali Imran. Quran has to be recited the whole time. And the person has to have iman billah. Cannot be weak. Same thing with ruqya. So when the person is opening this magic, it takes his time. And he's reciting Quran and he's seeking refuge in Allah while he's opening it slowly. And then once it's fully open, it's to be destroyed, burned. Get rid of it. And this is the first step in cure to this type of magic, blowing into knots. Blowing into knots. This is the first cure of magic. If that is not done, then ruqya is the next phase. Ruqya is the next phase. One of the most important things about ruqya, if somebody is possessed or have magic on them, one of the most important things about ruqya is the one who is sick, the one who is infected should never ask. The one who is sick or is affected by the magic or the jinn should never ask for ruqya. Because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he says, "Sab'una alfa min ummati yadkhulun al-jannah. Bila hisab wala sabq al-adhab." He said there are going to be 70,000 of my ummah that's going to enter Jannah without ever being brought to account and without being punished. He said, "Alladhina la yastarqun, la yastarqun." He said, those who do not ask for ruqya. They don't seek ruqya. Ruqya is a halal medicine in Islam, but don't seek it because it's from tamam at-tawakkul, because this is from having complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَتَطَيَّرُونَ. Nor do they see evil omens. Oh, a black cat, you broke a mirror. They don't see evil omens and things, which was, I think every culture had evil superstitions, evil omens. The Arab, they used to have that if they're going on a journey and if it's a flock of birds, if they fly in a certain direction, that means that's not going to be a good trip, so they would turn back around and go home because of that. And Allah Ta'ala didn't send any evidence down for that. In America, they say if a black cat cross your path, you'll have bad luck for 7 years, or if you break a mirror, you have bad luck. Stuff that the people just made up, right? And then you protect yourself with a rabbit's foot. It's amazing how they pick the weakest, one of the weakest animals.
In India, they say if somebody sneezes, then they say, hey, stop. You feel, there you go.
La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. And what is another thing in America? What do they say? If somebody's go like they have allergies, but if you go like that to itch your ear, say somebody's talking about you, right? Just all kind of weird things. But these things have no evidence in Quran and Sunnah. So the first thing is that find it, if you can find it. This means, we're going to go to the ayah in Surah Al-Hujurat. Allah said, "Inna ba'da dhanni ithm." That some suspicion is a sin. Some. Ba'd means some. He didn't say kullu. He didn't say all suspicion is a sin. So when you're looking for magic, if somebody in your family or you have been affected, somebody's going to have to get accused. This is the reality. Somebody's going to get the finger pointed at them. And you have to be as tactful as possible in case you're wrong about the person that you're suspicious of. But if you have tangible reason to be suspicious that somebody may have put the magic or put the ayn or have hasad for you, then you have to seek it out, because part of curing these things is going to the individual that is guilty and getting it from them. The one who put the ayn or hasad on you, you have to get their wudu water. How can you get their wudu water without letting them know you could have affected me? It's impossible. Or you can set them up by when they're making salat, you cut the water valve off and leave a bucket of water so that they have to make wudu. And that's a slick way to do it. But either way, you get their wudu water. So this magic has to be open while reciting al-falaq, reciting an-nas, or ayatul kursi and other sources in the Quran, and then it must be destroyed. And it must be destroyed. And it should not be just thrown off while it's still tied up, because it's still in effect. It's still in effect. If the Prophet ﷺ could be affected, who after him? And one of the major protections from al-sihr wal-hasad wal-ayn is al-adhkar. The dua and the remembrances in the night and in the day and in the middle of the day, all throughout your day. As strong as a person is in dhikr, the weaker magic will be. And if a person forgets, when the Prophet ﷺ was asked, Ya Rasulullah, you're the messenger of Allah, how was magic put on you? The Prophet ﷺ said, I forgot my God. I got to say my This is the Prophet ﷺ. So in the Prophet, there's so much benefit in the Prophet having magic put on him. Number one, so we won't fall into what the Christians fell into and making the Prophet ﷺ a God. When we see that he was affected by magic, we know he wasn't a God, number one. Number two, to see that the Prophet ﷺ needed the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to remove that issue. So that after his death, we won't, like what some people are doing, they're going to graves and they're asking help from people in the grave. The Prophet was alive. Why would somebody go to the Prophet's grave for his help while he's dead, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was alive and the magic affected him and he had no help? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. He's the one who taught us that. No might, power, or strength except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet taught us that. And he said this from the treasures of Jannah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. No might, power, strength except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Also in the dream, he saw that archangel came and he said that what happened to my friend. That's right.
Naam. Jibreel, he saw Jibreel now.
Then he said that read Ma'azafin.
And he taught the Prophet al-falaq wal-nas. This is very important, you know. So now, so you may have to accuse someone, and for them to be upset, but you to find the cure is better than for them to be happy and you to be, because it's very, very serious.
And then there is an ayah that وَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ
نزغا فاستعذ بالله. Nah.
إِنَّهُ
سميع عليم. Nah. So yeah, in Surah Al-A'raf, and if a whisper or an attack comes from the shaitan, then seek refuge in Allah. Right? He doesn't have any power over those who believe. And this is the most important part of magic. You say, okay, it's like any sickness is like any attack. You can be attacked physically by your enemy and still understand, okay, he's strong, his attack is vicious, but he doesn't have power over me. So magic is a form of attack. So that doesn't mean he has power over you. So you have to reject him having power over you, or her. It could be a female shaitan. It's a brother who I know very well. I've known since 1998. He had some difficulties in Deen and strayed for a while. In his straying, he was seeking information on all types of things. So one of the things he was seeking information about was magic and voodoo. So he had a magician. He told me maybe a few months back, or no, maybe in February, March. He told me that he talked to one magician who was a man of Hispanic or Latin American descent, who was heavy into magic. He said he stopped, but he was used to be heavy into magic. He said the hardest people to put a spell on are the Muslims.
Are the Muslims?
Yes.
Even a Russian magician explained.
He can, yeah.
Even a Russian lady magician, he said that the hardest thing is to attack a Muslim.
Yep.
With magic.
Because they said, the man said to this brother, Because we need the person to be away from God. We need them to be away. We need an opening in which the person is not close to God, because this is when we can. The Prophet said what? And we know he's the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he forgot to make his adhkar. So Allah taught us a lesson in that. So now the magicians, they are confessing they need the person to be neglectful and heedless. And they catch the person. It's just like physical war. When do they want to attack? When the army is prepared, when the guards are joking and not paying attention, then there's the attack. The same thing in the spiritual attack. When they want to attack our souls, they do it the same way. When when we salam right out and go right into the affairs of the dunya and don't say subhan, la ilaha illallah. So as soon as we go right into the dunya after the salat, assalamu alaikum, and get up. So where were you? Oh, now this is a window now for the attack of the shayateen of humans and jinn. What were you about to say, Sheikh?
In Surah Al-Nahl.
إنه
ليس له سلطان على الذين آمنوا وعلى ربهم
يتوكلون. Nah. This is the ayah after Shaitan's promise that he was going to take off a marked group of the children of Adam. And Allah said, you would not have any sultan, any authority. And then Shaitan in Surah Ibrahim, he also confessed it. Allah said, فَلَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ قال الشيطان إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم. And indeed, Allah promised you the promise of truth, and I promised you, but I broke my promise. He said, وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُم مِّن سُلْطَانٍ. And I didn't have any authority over you. إِلَّا أَن دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. Except that I called you all, and you answered me. فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. So blame yourself. And you see this even in the dunya, the shayateen of the humans, when they convince and trick someone into going to criminal, doing something evil with them and like that. And then when they're all captured, and then the person who didn't think about doing this until this person convinced them to do this thing, he said, man, if I wasn't with you, I wouldn't have. Man, you grown, you old enough to make your own decisions. I didn't force you. If you didn't want to come, you want to do it, you wouldn't have did it. Shut up. We're in this together. Even you see the co-defendants in crime. They treat each other like shayateen.
It's a common thing that, oh man, I got misled.
Yeah, I got misled. Yeah, they say, and they think that's going to work in court. Allah's the judge of judges. It doesn't work in the under the judgment of the dunya. Okay, why were you with that person with the drugs? Why are you with that person with embezzlement? Why are you with that person? Oh, I'm a good person. That person just misled me. Okay, he misled you. True, but you followed him. That means you know it was wrong. So now you get the same judgment as the person you did the thing with. So this is another thing. So from this type of magic is sarf. Sarf is that to create enmity between people who have love for each other. It changes their love to hate, discord, uneasy. And I have family members who went through this. And sometimes the jinniya, it was a female jinn. And what happened was a woman put magic on a family member of mine when he decided not to marry her. They were engaged to be married and everything was fine and like that. And then he saw the lady, my in-laws. So he saw the girl talking to a young man. And he knew her family, he knew that wasn't a family member. So he went to her father and said, I changed my mind. I'm okay. I don't want to marry her. So she heard about that. And then he got engaged to another girl who didn't have those issues with her. And she approached him one day, spat at him, and said, you're going to pay for what you did to me. You humiliated me in front of my family. Watch, you're going to pay. And then she laid the trap of the magic. He stepped over it. And what did it cause? For years, until Allah Ta'ala removed it, through Ruqya, Allah Ta'ala removed it because they couldn't find it. So for years, every time he would come near, when he got married to the other sister, every time he would come near to her, he would get up and leave. And she wouldn't find any problem with it. So after years of this going on, they came to each other and said, what are we going to do? How can we keep going on like this? And she said, well, you leave, but I don't say anything. He said, I'm going to tell you why I get up and leave. Every time I come close to you to intimacy, your face changes to a horrible look. She said, well, like, your face changes too, but I didn't want to say it. I knew they had magic. And then they began getting treated. And then during the treatment, while they're fighting to remove this sarf, this magic of sarf, while they're getting the treatment, the jinniya, the female jinn that was appointed, would come sit. You would see the impression on the sofa. She would come sit. And she would make herself audible to the man and say, you're not going to touch her. He would hear her. You're not going to touch her. This is how severe the magic that woman put on. And then finally, Allah Ta'ala blessed him to remove. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. But this is how serious it is.
We need to be attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Wallahi.
Seek his help.
Nah. Nah. Always in dhikr. Always in dhikr. It's very important. And always being in dhikr, it's not necessarily that we're always saying something, but after we're done, the necessities of our dunya, that we're going to the masjid. We're involving ourselves in acts of ibadah, things that Allah Ta'ala is pleased with. Even when a person going to their family, you know, some people don't understand a marriage may break down. It is nothing obvious. So we think. So, okay, she's a good woman, he's a good man, but they can't stand each other. What's going on? After the fact, in some situations, what did I find out? After the fact, that they were together on all good things, nothing haram in the dunya, but they had no dhikr between them. No Quran together, no dua together. They didn't make ibadah together, no optional or obligatory prayers together. They have no ibadah. But they were together in the dunya. It was no different between their relationship and the two kuffar. They had no dhikr together. If you see a house in which the family never comes to, even the kuffar say this, the Christians, when I was young, they used to say this, a family who prays together stays together. A family that prays together stays together. So when you find in your house that you see a distance coming between you and your children, think about how often do I get me and my children, we sit down and read some Quran. How often do we get together, we learn a new dua? How often we get to encourage one another to fast? If ibadah, if dhikr of Allah is taken away from between, even if you have a beautiful, cordial relationship, it will not be free from the attacks of shaitan. It will not be free from the attacks of shaitan. So make that dhikr in your house to protect yourself. So this is sarf. It will make you, the whole house hate one another. And then you have atif. Atif is the magic that's done in order to make somebody incline and fall in love with somebody that they don't normally incline toward. So all of these are dangerous, and these are the ways, and Allah Ta'ala chose to remind us about this in Surah Al-Baqarah. And from the most severe, be careful, those who always want to be advisors between spouses, and their advice leads to separation, because this is the main thing they were thinking. So they were learning the type of magic that by it they could cause a husband to separate from his wife. Severe. The Prophet ﷺ said, "La'na Allah al-kabbab." Allah's curse is on the kabbab. The kabbab is the one who makes a woman flip against her husband. She loves her husband, and many women are very severe in this. They see a woman obedient, you say a woman righteous, salihah, and she's a good woman to her husband like that, and they are women who are very evil, ill-mannered, and disobedient, and they call those women who are obedient and righteous stupid. You know, submissive woman, you're stupid. I couldn't listen to him. I don't see how he treats you like a slave, and the woman is fine. And they keep whispering and whispering and whispering. It's a human shayateen. Human demons. And they keep whispering until the woman herself begins to ponder and feel discontent about her submissiveness and her obedience to her husband. And then she begins to bring up these issues. It's not even from her own thoughts. It's from the thoughts of the shayateen around her. And then the woman begins to say, why don't you let me go out sometimes? This happened to a brother who went to Syria. He was studying in Syria, studying Arabic. And Allah blessed him. He met an upright sister from Somalia. He married her. And he brought her back to America. So him wanting her to have social interaction, what did he do? She was very good at braiding hair and like that. So he said, okay, then the sisters can come over. those sisters didn't cease inciting her against her husband and telling her that you're only submissive like that to him because you think you need to depend on him. And then they showed her about welfare, and they showed her about Section 8, and they showed her about everything to destroy her home. And then one day he got home, those sisters didn't have a phone, didn't have a telephone in the house or anything like that, but those sisters would come over, they get their hair done. He didn't know that they were working sihr on his wife the whole time. The Prophet said, indeed, some types of eloquent speech is magic. It's magic. So they kept going until one day he came home and his wife wasn't home. And then he's like, where's my wife? And so she doesn't have a cell phone. They have the house phone. She's not there. There's no way to contact. About 12, as he's telling me, about 12 a.m., 1 a.m., he gets a phone call. Hello. It's from a number that's not in his phone. Hello. Yes. He hears noise in the background. He said, baby, where are you? Why are you not home? Where are you? I went out with my friends. I need to have a life too. Huh? I need to have a life too. That's where it started.
The most common.
Yes.
Most common.
Yeah. And the women don't think this is magic. They think this is good advice. It's not good advice. This is devil advice. And the Prophet said, the curse of Allah is on the kabab, the one who flips the woman against her husband. No, not the fault. No, it's okay.
If all your speech, some ladies listen to it,
yeah,
what will you think?
If the women are upright and have been attacked by these shayateen, they're going to say, Subhanallah. That almost happened to me.
That's almost happened to me.
And if they are the ones that do it, they're going to say, well, men have issues too. It's not, they're going to have an issue with it. You know, the Egyptians have a saying. They say, if you throw a rock, and I'm not saying this about the Muslim women, I'm not calling them, but this is just an analogy. They say if you throw a rock into a crowd of dogs, the one that howls is the one you hit. The one that howls is the one that you hit. So if you throw a statement out that's general, you're not mentioning names, but you're mentioning a behavior pattern, and someone gets disgruntled, the one that howls is the one you hit. The one that gets upset is the one that it applies to. The one that gets upset. Because if we were to give a talk about, let's say something far, inshallah, we believe it's far from our community, like lesbianism or homosexuality, you're not going to find anybody get upset. And this is haram, and this is against our nature, and we're not supposed to be like this. Now, if we find somebody sitting and we're talking about the filth of homosexuality like that, and somebody gets up and say, that's prejudice because not all homosexuals are filthy, then we're going to wonder about that, brother. What's going on? What just happened to that? So if someone gets upset when they hear the truth and they hear evil being spoken ill about, we speak ill about evil. So if somebody has a problem with hearing evil being spoken ill about, then maybe, as they say, the guilty will speak. So, the guilty will speak. Now, so this is what I wanted to bring, and we'll just take a little bit more of the ayah. Now, the part of the ayah where Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ عَلِمُوا لَمَنْ اشْتَرَاهُ مَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. And they knew that the one who purchased magic, they would have nothing in the hereafter. لَبِئْسَ مَا شَرَوْا. And this is beautiful. That's why I tell people, a lot of people say, nahu, sarf, morphology, and the changing of the nouns and the verbs is what really gives you deep meaning. And the word doesn't have to be in a sentence. So let's look at this word. So this word in Arabic, Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ عَلِمُوا لَمَنْ اشْتَرَاهُ. اشْتَرَاهُ. So when this word has the ta added, it means to purchase. If you remove the ta and it just have the sheen and the ra, and Allah said, وَلَا بِئْسَ مَا شَرَوْا. Sharo without the T. So shtara means to purchase. Sharo means to sell. SubhanAllah. So Allah Ta'ala said they purchased the magic and they sold their souls. So now we know that by when the one who is purchasing magic, he's selling his soul. He's selling his soul. And he will have nothing in the hereafter. Allah said, وَلَا بِئْسَ مَا شَرَوْا بِهِ أَنفُسَهُمْ. They sold their souls, لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَمَثُوبَةٌ مِّنْ عِندِ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. And if they were to believe and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then their reward with Allah in the hereafter would have been better had they only knew. No matter how much, and we see the musicians and the movie stars are coming forth now. They're saying they made me go into this room, they made me do lewd sexual acts, and in order for that to secure my future in show business and like that. This is all they're all coming out now. I don't know if you're seeing it. It's popping up on everything, on TikTok, on YouTube, they're popping out. They're losing their minds, and then they're coming forward and say, I know if I say once I say this, my career is going to be over. They took me in a room. They made me do some things with animals. They made me do some things with infants, and they're confessing all of this stuff is going on. All of this stuff is going on for political power, for fame, for stardom. This is what they're doing. They say you cannot, if you go in the room and you don't do it, then your career is over. This is what's going on. And this is not new. This is not new. Allah Ta'ala is explaining it for us. But the people who wanted their wealth, to amass their wealth and fame, if they knew that the reward with Allah in the Akhirah would be better, long lasting. Wallahu musta'an. So this is what we want to bring from this ayat about magic in Surah Al-Baqarah. And yes, Sister Vekina, you're from Louisiana. I know that that's all magic and voodoo and
recently, we have been to New Orleans.
New Orleans?
We went through a district where voodoo was done. Right. It was so
dark, gloomy, like
gloomy, dark, and a lot of chaos.
Yeah. And I don't know much about France, but when I went to France, it would look the same way. It's the gloomy place. It's like dark. I didn't feel comfortable. I got left. Very gloomy place. Yeah, you have certain places you go, it's just like, oh, nah. So that's what we want to talk about today. Please, ikhwan, akhawat, be very diligent in protecting yourselves. Even the Christians say. I met a Christian guy in Greensboro, North Carolina, when I was down there teaching, and it was a Christian guy. I went to a gas station to buy a drink, and he was standing by the refrigerator. And then he just looked at me, and he said, they took prayer out of school. They took prayer out of school. He just kept saying it was yelling. They took prayer out of school. And I just listened to him. He said, and they expect the children not to go crazy? How can they remain sane without God? They took prayer out of school. And we see the result of it. You take the people away from the remembrance, you got them. You got them. And this was important in these places, in these masajid. In these masajid. I know some brothers, especially when I first came, and even till now, they said, oh, he's harsh, he's difficult, he's that. No, we're coming here for the dhikr. If the only thing will bring you into the masjid is food, you have an issue. You have an issue. These places, listen to the name of it. This is also from morphology. Masjid. In Arabic, it's called ism makan, the name of a place. The letters in masjid, if you remove the meme, sin, jim, dal, sajada, from where sujood comes from. This means that the most things we're supposed to be doing in a masjid is a place of sujood. What happened when the Bedouin came into the masjid and urinated? And the companions wanted to stop him. Anyway, the end of the hadith, the Prophet explained to this man, he said, this place is not for those things. This place is for the remembrance of Allah, the reciting of the Quran, and the salah. And then he called the Prophet ﷺ, I'll call for a bucket of water to be poured on the place he urinated. And he said, may Allah have mercy on me and Muhammad and nobody else. And the Prophet ﷺ told them, you have made something that is very wide, very narrow. I don't know. But because the companions were going to grab him and like that. The scholars say this shows there's a very important technique in enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. That if it's going to lead to worse, then you can't do it. So now this man was urinating in the corner. This is just a side benefit. He was urinating in the corner. Had they grabbed him, his urination was going in one direction. If they grabbed him, would have turned around, it would have got in other places and even on them. Right? Then his odor was hidden by the wall. Had they grabbed him and he turned around, his odor would have been exposed to everybody. So just by the Prophet, they was urinating, the Prophet said, leave him. Leave him. MashaAllah. Another side benefit, and I'll end with this. So this hadith, leave him. So some people try to use the hadith in which the girls were singing for their Eid. right? And Abu Bakr came and said, what are you doing? The Mazamir Shaitan fi Bayt al-Nabi, that the tools of Shaitan in the house of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, leave them. Every people have an Eid, and today is their Eid, right? But they were singing. They didn't have instruments. But either way, Abu Bakr admonished them. And then the Prophet said, leave them. So then some people take this hadith as proof that music is halal. Because the Prophet said what? Leave them. So he said, so then our brother, Muhaddith, he used to be a singer. And now he's Muslim, alhamdulillah. So he said, people have been, since I've been Muslim, trying to convince me to go back to music. And they use this hadith, leave them. He said, well, if that's the case, what about the man who urinated in the masjid? When the companions tried to stop him, the Prophet said, leave him. So is this hadith proof that you can pee in the masjid? So if the Prophet said, leave them in that occasion, they were only... Yeah, Muhaddith, yeah. You know him, yeah, mashallah. No, mashallah. We used to be together in Egypt. No, mashallah. He had a show on a station called Iqra in Egypt. And like that, yeah. No. So that's just a side benefit. We ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us beneficial knowledge, sincere intentions, beneficial knowledge, and righteous actions. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our sins and accept our good deeds, raise our ranks. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات المؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك قريب مجيب الدعوات. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Any statements or questions about anything that was said, we'll take a few, and then if not, we'll just stop here.
This joint was deep. You need to continue on with this topic, man.
Nah, as long as it's in the ayat. Hold on, we have a question here.
Possession of jinn and magic. Two separate things.
The possession of...
Some people get possessed by jinn.
Right.
Without even... There's nothing magic there.
Nah.
Just the jinn.
Sheikh Ahmed is making a very important point, that jinn possession and magic are not necessarily one and the same. Because a jinn can do this on their own, which brings us to a very important topic. إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُم. Allah told us in Surah Al-A'raf, Shaitan and his companions, his tribe, they watch you from a position where you can't see them. So from the things that the Prophet prohibited is to get rid of boiling water in the bathroom, because this is the place where the jinn live. And you could burn or kill one of their children or one of them, and they're going to seek revenge on you. This is also the Prophet prohibited not to put the boiling water into the toilet.
Oh.
No, do not pour the boiling water in the toilet. This is where they live. They're living there. You're going to pour that hot water. You could kill one of them. They die like men die. You pour that boiling one of them, this jinn is going to be obsessed with you.
To clean.
No. Yeah, it may be able to clean it, but also you got to remember those jinn that are living there. And some scholars say that applied to what? The toilets in which had no flushing devices. Yeah, right? Those toilets.
She put bleach, she put
yeah.
chemicals.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying don't clean your toilet. I'm not saying but clean it, but beware of throwing the boiling water. Right? Also, the Prophet prohibited what? And urinating in shade. In shade.
No, I was just about to say that too.
Nah, and it's for more than one reason. Number one,
you might pee on
people rest in the shade. So now, if you have a shady tree, and someone goes to urinate there, and then it creates the najis and the smell, and now somebody wants to go rest, you've ruined a place of rest for people who are traveling because you urinated there. Also, the jinn may be there in that place.
You mean urinate on them?
Now, also in holes, like in holes and like that. For two reasons. It could be a hole in which the jinn live in, or a snake could be in there and come out to bite you, or a scorpion could come out to bite you, like that. So these type of places and like that. So we have to be very careful. They live amongst us. Oh yeah, and an important thing about the jinn possession. The young children who have not yet reached puberty should be brought into the home and just maybe 20 minutes or half an hour before Maghrib. Right? Why? Because this is the time the shayateen spread.
Near the dumpsters.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't be near the dumpsters. Yeah, this is another way. In the trash, in the garbage, the jinn are there. And sometimes people might see a human. That doesn't mean he's not a shaitan. Because remember, the shayateen, specifically, the jinn are one race. The shayateen from them, even the good ones, but the shayateen like to take human form. So when you see somebody filthy, the Muslim the Muslim jinn, not shayateen, the Muslim jinn, they're not going to take a filthy, despicable form. So you see somebody covered in urine, feces, and trash and garbage and laying like that. That's not a Muslim. If that person is a human, could be a human demon, a human shaitan, or if it's in jinn form. All of the places of filth and like that, this is where they gather. So be very careful. Also, when throwing out bones for our Muslim brothers and sisters for the jinn, when throwing out bones, chicken bones, lamb bones, cow bones, are like that, say Bismillah. Say Bismillah, because the demons, the devils can't eat from it. But Allah will close those bones with flesh for the Muslim jinn, and they will have a meal to eat.
So you saying say Bismillah before when you throw it out?
Nah. You say Bismillah when you throw it out.
Well, if we throw it in the trash.
Yeah, it's okay. But you say Bismillah, because the shayateen will never be able to eat from it. But the Muslim jinns will be able to eat from it. Allah will put flesh on it, and the Muslim jinn will eat from it. Nah. So these are things that are very important. These jinn dwell amongst but it's not a necessity for magic to be put on a person for the hold of Abdullah. It's not a necessity for magic to be put on a person to be best possessed by a jinn. Disobedience and extreme emotion, sisters and brothers, but especially sisters, extreme emotion is during the time the jinn attacks, and extreme excitement for happiness. When the people are like in their celebrations, everybody's screaming, like in concerts, everybody's screaming. The jinn use this that they can go through the mouth, through the ear, they will enter the person. And because they entered a person at the time that they were acting erratical, it seems like it's just a carryover of the behavior that they already had. Same thing with anger, extreme uncontrollable anger. The person's cussing and yelling and throwing things around like that. This is the time the shayateen, the jinn, they will enter the person. And then when they continue to behave that way, people think it's a carryover from the behavior that they had earlier. Extreme sadness. The jinn will come and possess the person, because these three extreme emotions is a time when a person is not in dhikr. And they're behaving with abnormal conduct that's attributed to their mental state at the time. So then when it carries over, the people think, oh, they're still affected by their excitement, or they're still affected by their sadness, or they're still affected by their anger. In reality, a shaitan took that opportunity to enter them. It's very dangerous.
That's the thing is that we say astaghfirullah.
Ain't when anything happens, what did the Prophet ﷺ say to the woman who lost her son? And when the Prophet tried to console her, she said, what do you know? And the Prophet walked away. And she didn't know it was the Prophet ﷺ. And the people said, you know, that was the messenger of Allah you were talking to? And she was shocked. She said, I didn't mean it. And she ran. She said, Ya Rasulullah, forgive me. I didn't know it was you. I didn't know it was you. The Prophet just turned to her and said, one sentence: patience is at the first blow of calamity. In the sadmatul ula. As-sabru and the sadmatul ula. Patience is at the first blow of calamity. When a person says, and they act out and everything like that, and then after they say, you know what, I'm just going to be patient. It's too late. You already ruined the possibility of the reward of the patient by acting out. It destroys it. And bringing those children in, many children that are left out in the streets during that time are possessed or even snatched by the shayateen. It's not always a perverted man riding around in an ice cream truck. It could be a shaitan snatching that child. The Prophet said, he said, when the night falls, when it comes close, bring your sons in the house. This hadith has many benefits from them. When the Prophet specified bringing the boys in the house, it shows that the girls should already be in the house. He didn't say bring the girl. It doesn't mean that the girls are okay, that they can fight the shayateen and the boys can't. No, the girls should already be in the house. He said, he said, when the night becomes close, bring your boys in. And then he said, he instructed us in our house to do what? He said, when you go to sleep, blow out every candle and every lamp. So I know that some brothers and sisters are very romantic. Don't go to sleep with those candles on. You want to have that candlelight dinner, that candlelight moment? Don't go to sleep with it on. The Prophet instructed us to blow. And then he point to that a shaitan can direct a mouse to knock over the candle and then set you and your things on fire. You may think it's a mistake. The Prophet told us that a shaitan would direct a mouse to do this. He didn't say that a mouse would do it on its own. He said a shaitan would direct the mouse to do this. Look how they hate us. The shayateen, they hate us. He said, and cover your pots also for vermin and poison. Also in the Hadith in Tirmidhi, he said every year a plague is sent down and it enters into every uncovered vessel. Every year a plague is sent down and enters into every uncovered vessel. Did anybody think about that when COVID came? SubhanAllah. We need to return to the Sunnah. Everybody talking about a monkey in China, a baboon in Russia. Oh no, it was a lab in America. Did everybody think about the Hadith of Tirmidhi? Authentic Hadith when the Prophet said, cover your vessels at night, tie them. And he said, even if you don't have something to cover or tie them, he said, take a stick. This is how the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, take a stick and place it over and say, Bismillah, and place the stick over it. And Allah will protect it. Allah will protect it. Stick. A stick. This is about Iman now. This is about Iman. It's not about the thing. And this is why I warned the brothers. The brothers, when I said, and I talk about you, Brother Muhammad. This is when I was in Maryland. The brothers, I said, we have to be careful that we don't let this COVID thing mess with our aqidah. So a brother might go like this, and he might have a mask on, right? But he's not making any adhkar. So I was using an example. I said, okay. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever prays Fajr in Jama'ah, then he's under the protection of Allah until the nightfall. Right? I said, so now, the kafir, not a Muslim, a kafir, who puts on a mask and uses sanitizing liquid and goes out. This was the time of COVID. And a Muslim prays in Jama'ah and he doesn't put on a mask and doesn't use sanitizing liquid. Which one is protected? Which one is safer? We better believe that. We better believe that. If we believe that the Muslim who prayed in Fajr and Jama'ah and made his adhkar, that he's still not protected because he didn't put on a mask or use sanitizing liquid, la ilaha illallah. What happened to our aqidah? Nah.
This Jama'ah, is it necessary to go to the masjid and join the Jama'ah, or you can have it in your home with your wife?
No, the Jama'ah is prayed in the masjid. Yeah, the Jama'ah is prayed in the masjid now.
27 times more.
Yeah. The Prophet said 25 or 27. Yeah.
Praying with your wife is also Jama'ah.
It depends. It depends because the Jama'ah should be 3 or more. It should be 3 or more, and like that. But it's some other detail to what you're saying about the Jama'ah. I really don't want to say it right now. But the Jama'ah should be prayed in the masjid because if let's say if you pray with your wife, I pray with my wife, and he prays with his wife, who's going to pray at the masjid? Everybody call each other. Assalamu alaikum. You coming to the masjid? No, I'm leading the Jama'ah here. Okay, me, I'm also leading the Jama'ah. No. Abu Rumaysa.
Yeah.
Also with is it the protection as well? When you close a lot of doors and say the best matter.
That's what I was getting at. Yep.
Okay.
Also, this is important. Some people close and lock their door. The Prophet said that the shayateen can open a door that is closed and locked in the name of Allah.
Allahu Akbar.
Now, in the name of Allah. Bismillah. Not they can't open the door that's closed and locked. They can open doors, open windows.
You got to say the afkar, and then you got to make sure you say the dua and then close the door.
Now you got to say Bismillah.
Bismillah, yeah.
No. Now, إذا كان جن الليل نعم فكفوا صبيانكم. Now, this is the hadith we're talking about. فإن الشياطين تنتشر حينئذ. Now, this is the hadith that we were mentioning earlier. The Prophet ﷺ said, when the layl is collected by Imam Muslim, when the night comes, then bring your boys in. Sabi, or Sibyan is the plural of Sabi, little boy. He said, because this is the time that the devil spread. The devil spread. They spread out. Look at let me just think about majority of crimes. Think about the majority of crimes that are committed. Why do they wait till the night? They should show you the criminals are like shayateen, like devils, because the crimes are committed at night. Most crimes are committed at night, except white collar crime. They do that during the day. Embezzlement and all of that and stuff with computers. That's daytime crime. They're daytime devils.
Also nighttime.
Hey, now, oh yeah, also at night, yeah, when the secretaries leave and the computers are, yeah. Now, so be very, very careful of these things. And there's so many other things to mention concerning this. And I remember when I first became Muslim, when Allah first guided me to Islam, there was an older brother. And I mentioned this before. It's an elder brother. And I had a lot of questions. So is this haram? So what about that? Is that haram? Is that haram? So the elder brother, he wasn't very knowledgeable. He said, listen, young man, I don't know a lot. I don't have a lot of knowledge about the deen, but I can tell you this. Anything you want to do, if you feel shy or embarrassed to say Bismillah before doing it, you shouldn't be doing it. And just think about how you leave the house, Bismillah. You enter the house, Bismillah. Intercourse, Bismillah. Before going into the bathroom, Bismillah. So what is it that you're doing that you can't say Bismillah? If you can't say Bismillah, if you feel shy to say Bismillah, then more than likely you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be doing it. No. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here. We ask Allah ta'ala to accept it. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa astaghfiruka.
You want us to continue it next week?
Yeah, we're still on that ayah, but we're on the last part of the ayah.
In Surah Al-A'raf?
No, we're in Surah Al-Baqarah, Abdullah.
Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay.
No, inshallah. Bismillah. Ami wa iyyakum. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.